The pink paper is just a graphic organizer overview of all the factoring. It doesn't include the dividing, but you need to know the 4 ways to help with the dividing. So I'm just going to go over each example. These are the steps you need to follow. You always first look for a GCF. Then you have to look at your number of terms. Do you have 2, 3, or 4? Okay. If you have 2 terms, you want to see if you have a difference of squares. So you must see subtraction, and you need to see a perfect square. So that's why I went ahead and showed you take the square root of the first to the second. X squared is a perfect square, so it's 64. Your binomials are always going to be a plus and a minus. It's the second one that we need to do together, but we're going to go through the steps. The first step is GCF. So what I do is I look at the terms and see, do they have a GCF by looking at the number in front, the coefficient. Does 2 go into 18? Yes, so they do have a 2 in common. Then I look at the letters. What letter do they have in common between the 2 terms? Yeah, so we're going to put an N there. So this, what we have at the bottom that we're dividing by, that's going to go outside our parentheses. And then we're just going to do the division. So 18 m squared n, when I divide that, that's going to be 18 divided by 2, that's 9. The n's cancel, so we're left with m squared. Then the minus sign, and then 2n cubed divided by 2n, that's going to come out to just n squared, because you just subtract the exponents here. Okay, so now what you have here, these 2 numbers, these 2 terms have the minus sign and they're perfect squares. I can take the square root of the first term and the square root of the second term. The 2n is going to stay outside. So square root of 9m squared is 3m. So we're going to have 3m minus n and 3m plus n. The difference of squares, the binomials are always minus and plus. Okay. All right, so always find a GCF first and then try the other way. So this 3 terms, you can have 2 options. No coefficient, no number in front, or with the number in front. Notice that over here there's no A, but over here there is an A. So we're going to talk about no A. I did the first one for you. There's a negative 42. I did my factors. That's negative 7 and 6 that have a sum of negative 1. Here, you're going to have to do a GCF first. The GCF is the 2. 2 can go into each 3 of those terms. So the 2's coming outside the parentheses. Let me extend my page. Leaving you with w squared plus 10w plus 25. So now I'm doing my puzzle, putting 25 at the top and 10 at the bottom. I want factors of 25 with the sum of 10. Yeah, 5 and 5. So keep the 2 in front. This would be w plus 5 and w plus 5. But since these 2 factors are the exact same, this would be w plus 5 squared. Now this is the one where we have a number in front. We have to slide it back and multiply. But you still want to do a GCF first. So if I look here, 6 is the smallest number. Can it go into 27 and 30? Can 6 go into 27 and 30? No, it cannot. So what factor of 6 can go into 27 and 30? 3. So the 3 is outside the parentheses, leaving you with 10x squared minus 9x plus 2. Now, we still have this coefficient in front, this 10 right here. I'm going to take that 10 and multiply it to the 2 in the back. So now that means 20 is in the top of my puzzle because you're doing A times C, the front times the back. The negative 9 is still at the bottom. All right, so we need factors of 20 with the sum of a negative 9. Yeah, negative 4 and a negative 5. Okay, the 3 stays in front of the parentheses. We're going to have x minus 4 and x minus 5. And because we had this number 10 in front, because I circled that 10, I got to divide each number by 10. This means you're going to reduce the fraction here. 4 over 10 can be reduced to 2/5. And 5 over 2 can reduce to 1/2. So the last thing you just have to remember is bottoms up. The bottom number goes up to the front. So this is 3 outside. This now becomes 5x minus 2 and 2x minus 1. All right, the last type to factor are 4 terms. This is when we do grouping. You group the first 2 and you group the last 2. And you do a GCF for both. Okay. All right, so what's our GCF for the first 2 numbers? Yeah, the a squared is what they have in common. So I'm going to bring that out, leaving me with 2a minus b. Then I'm going to do my GCF for the next 2 groups. What do they have in common? The 5, yes. So the 5 is going to be outside the parentheses, leaving me 2a minus b. So the 2a minus b is your common binomial, so that's one of your factors. And then you take what's outside, which is the 5, and the a squared, that's the other binomial, a squared plus 5. So you might want to refer to this to try to determine the method to use on the review. So the first section of the review is just a review of the old skill because we still got to be retested on that. We still have some struggling with combining like terms and the FOIL method. So this is a packet we're going to go to next. The distributing is not the issue. Like most of y'all are doing the hippity-hoppity distributive property. Y'all can do that part. It's the combining the like terms after. So this negative 4y plus 5y, times 5y is a negative 20y squared. Then this will become a positive 44y. This is a negative 6y squared. And this is a negative 20y. Then your like terms, this is where the error happens. We do not add the exponents. We just add the number in front. So this is a negative 26y squared. Plus we got 44y and a minus 20y. So we're going to actually take the difference between them. You're going to be left with 24y. So Like on number 2, you will need to distribute first. When you multiply, you do at the exponents. You don't when you just combine like terms. So this is 10a to the 5th power minus 14a to the 4th power. Then I'm just adding my 3a to the 4th minus a to the 5th. The like terms are the 10a to the 5th minus a to the 5th. That leaves me 9a to the 5th power. The negative 14a plus 3a to the 4th, is going to leave you with a negative 11a to the 4th. Don't add the exponents when you're simplifying. Okay, so I want to talk about the FOIL method. Some of you are doing your box, that's fine, but it's first term, outer term, inner terms, then the last term. The first term are the x times the 4x. When I multiply those together, I get 4x squared. The outer term is the x times the negative 3. That gives me a negative 3x. The inner terms is the negative 1 and the 4x. That also gives me a negative 4x. And the last term is the negative 1 times the negative 3 turns into a positive 3. So now you're just combining like terms. So this is 4x squared minus 7x plus 3. Okay, so most people are asking about 6 and a couple questions on 5. 5, you would have to distribute this one. This is x to the 3rd plus 3x squared. But then you have to do FOIL here. That's going to give me 2x squared. Outer is going to give me a positive 5x, negative 4x, then negative 10. Standard form combining, we start with the highest exponent, that's x to the 3rd. Then I'm going to combine my x squares, that's 5x squared. Then my x's, plus x, and then my constant. So here on number 6, I would do the FOIL first. Huh? The plus sign and the 5. The plus sign and the 5. What do you mean? It's just combining. The plus sign means you're combining everything. So you're adding all the terms together. Now it's not going to change anything here. That's why I would just do the FOIL method and then I'm adding it to the original other ones. I would do the FOIL first here. So first term, that's going to give me 6x squared. Outer term, that's going to give me a negative 8x. Inner, negative 3x. And last, that's a positive 4. I'm going to combine these. So this is 6x squared minus 11x plus 4. This expression, I'm doing 2x squared minus that, okay? So I'm basically, all I'm really doing is subtracting these two. Those are the only two that are like terms. So this is a negative 4x squared minus, this minus is not going to turn it because it's like a negative minus a negative. That's going to be positive 11x and then minus 4. Okay. All right, now comes the factoring, which is what that graphic organizer is to help you with. Always check for GCF first. Always do that first. Let's go on number 7 here. I have a 27, an 18, and a 54. The smallest number is the 18. 18 cannot go into 27, but is there a factor of 18 that does go into 27? What are the factors of 18? Yeah. Okay, does 9 go into 27? Yes. Does 9 go into 54? Okay, so 9 will work. Then you look at the letters. What letter or combination of letters do they have in common? They have an X and a Y. So you take out the smallest X, which is right here, just one X, and the smallest Y. So it's X and Y. So what I'm dividing by is outside my parentheses. That's the GCF. Okay, so I'm just doing the division. 54 divided by 9. What is that going to give you? 6. And then my x's, I'm subtracting. 3 minus 1 is going to give me x squared. The y's end up canceling. So that's it. Then I have a minus here. 18 divided by 9, that's going to give me a 2. My x we subtract. And then my y we subtract. Plus, that gives me 3. My x's cancel. And I'm left with just y. So now I have a 3-term. Santana, where's your review packet? Get out a sheet of paper then. So now we have 3 terms and there is a coefficient. So I'm trying to see, can I factor this more? So I'm taking the last term, the first term multiplied to the last, that's 18. So I'm looking at factors of 18 with the sum of a -2. Is that possible? That's what we're checking first. Can it be factored anymore? Because there's only 4 or 3 sets of factors for 18. No, there does not exist. So this is prime right here. There's nothing else. So this is our final answer. 9xy 6x squared minus 2xy plus 3. Number 8, because I see only 2 terms and a subtraction, I should be trying to see if it's difference of squares. So can I basically, there's no GCF here. Can I take the square root of each one? Yeah, this is a perfect square. So this comes out to be 3x minus 7y and 3x plus 7y. Same thing on number 9. It is a difference of squares. Okay. The key is 2 terms and a subtraction. 10, this is 3 terms. Whenever there's 3 terms and there's no number in front, we go straight to our x puzzle. We have a -50 and a -5. So we want factors of a -50 that have a sum of a -5. -10 and 5. Yeah. So this ends up being n minus 10, n plus 5. And we're done. When I go to number 4, I see 4 terms. Because I see 4 terms, I should be doing grouping. Group the first 2, group the last 2. Our GCF in the first 2 is 4x squared. So I divide, that's going to leave me with just an x plus 3. My GCF in the next two is 25. Now, there's a minus sign here, so if I take out a negative 25 here, okay, that's going to be just x. That would still stay a negative 25 here. For this to be a negative as well, this has to be plus 3. Because a negative 25 times a positive 3 would give you the negative 75. This is our common binomial. So what's outside goes in a group together. So that would be 4x squared minus 25, and then x plus 3. So number 12 is also 4 terms. So when you have 4 terms, you have to do grouping. $13 is 3 terms, but we want to check for a GCF. Like I look at, can 3, which is the smallest number, go into each term? That's what we want to check first. Yeah, it does. Okay, so 3 comes out. If I divide the first term by 3, we get k squared minus, what's 57 divided by 3? 19k. Then plus 180 divided by 3, 60. Okay, so now we still got 3 terms. Okay, but if I notice here, now I don't have a coefficient, so I need to just go to my x puzzle. 60 is on top, negative 19 is on the bottom. Okay, so we're looking for factors of 60 with the sum of a negative 19. So just focus on the positive, guys. Y'all remember how I showed you how you can look at your list of factors on the calculator if you go y equals, and you just say 60 divided by x, and then second graph to your table. So here's our factors of 60 right here, including our 10 and 6. Any of them have a sum of 19, right? We're looking for, and we want a negative 19, so we got to look at the difference between the two. Right, it was a negative 19? Yeah. Couldn't we do a negative times a negative, get a positive? Yeah, negative 15 and a negative 4. Yep. Okay. So we keep the 3 on the outside. This would be k minus 15 and k minus 4. Now, in 14, again, we have 3 terms, but 4 cannot go into 5. So no GCF, right? So I still have a 3 term, but we have a coefficient, the 6. So we have to do slide and multiply. So that is going to give me a negative 24 in our puzzle. And then we're looking for factors of a negative 24 with the sum of a negative 5. 3 and negative 8. Yep. All right. So we're going to have x plus 3, x minus 8. And because we had that 6, we're going to divide by that 6. This can be reduced. Both of these. Reduce. So when we reduce, this can be reduced to 1/2. So we have x plus 1/2 here. This can be reduced to, what is that, 4? Thirds. And then we're going to do bottom number up. This bottom number is going to go up to the front. So that's 2x plus 1. This bottom number goes up to the front. That's 3x minus 4. All right. Always check for a GCF. The 12 is the smallest number. Okay. You cannot go into 40 or 32, but does it have a factor of 12 that goes into 40 or 32? Yeah, the 4 goes. Okay. So the 4 is outside, leaving you 3p squared minus 10p minus 8. And now we're back to what we did on the previous problem, 14. This has a coefficient of 3. You need to slide and multiply. Negative 24 again. So we want factors of negative 24 with the sum of 10. Negative 10, excuse me. Okay. So that would be a negative 12 and a positive 2. And then you're going to have to divide. See if you can finish this one. Do the bottoms up. 16 also has a GCF. But look, 3 is my smallest number. It can go in 18 and to 6. So I'm left with 2w squared minus w minus 6. Back to doing what we did previously. There's a 2. Slide and multiply. That's a negative 12. Factors of a negative 12 with the sum of a negative 1. If it's just a variable, remember there's an invisible 1 right there. So factors of a negative 12 with the sum of negative 1. That, yeah, negative 4 and our 3. Keep the 3 that we factor out in the front. This is going to leave me with w minus 4 and w plus 3. Because we circled that 2, we're dividing by 2. 2 can go into 4, so that's w minus 2. 2 cannot go into 3, so this is bottom up. So that's 2w plus 3. And then on the next page, you have some more factoring. Okay. On 17 here, there are 2 terms, but they do have a GCF of a. And now you're left with a squared b squared minus 1. And this is difference of squares. There is a GCF of n. So you're left with, the n comes out, give you n squared minus n minus 42. And now you have 3 terms to factor using the X puzzle. Negative 42, negative 1. So 19, you have 3 terms again, but you're going to have to slide and multiply. Here you have 4 terms. And then the last 2, you need to do your GCF first. Okay. We have a GCF of 4x squared. This comes out, leaving you with a 2x squared minus x minus 6. Then you're just going to check, can you slide and multiply? Is a negative 12 factorable so that you have Factors that give you a negative 12 that multiply to negative 12 but have a sum of negative 1. That would be negative 4 and a positive 3. So now you got to finish the slide and multiply. You have a GCF also in here. So I do want you to try that. And then the last topic is dividing, which is what we've been working on the last couple of days. We talked about the shortcuts, knowing that this is one of the factors, so that x minus 7 is part of one of the factors on the top. Since there's no number in front, it's an invisible one. I just need to focus on the 7 and 21, the last terms. 7 times what gives me 21? 3, right? We want a positive 21. This is a negative 7 right here. So this would have to be x minus 3. Those are the minus 7s are what they have in common. So those are gone, meaning x minus 3 is our answer. Okay. Now, if there is a coefficient, like on 25, there's a number in front. Or is that a typo? That might be a typo. Hold up. There's a GCF on the top, which is 5. I forgot that. Gives you 3x plus 5. Yeah, I think this is a typo. This is probably supposed to be plus 5. Because that's the only thing they have in common. Yeah, because 5 times 5 would give you 25. There's a typo on this one. Here, 4 times 4 would give me 16. Same thing right here. And this is a difference of squares. So this is 4x plus 1. Oops, that's supposed to be plus 1. There's that first one. And then 4x minus 1. 4x plus 1 is what they have in common. X minus 3 has to be one of the factors, but there's a coefficient of 3 here. And the only way I'm going to get a 3 in front is if I have a 3x like this, because this x times 3x will give me 3x squared. But since I'm ending with a negative 6, and this has a minus 2, what factor do they have in common? That would have to be plus 2. Negative 3 times 2 would give you a negative 6. And now we see the like terms. All right, so you're going to finish the dividing. I will put an extra credit opportunity on quizzes to go towards your test score. All right, but you need to finish the ones, and then this is what you're going to be tested over tomorrow. Factoring, dividing, and some review, some more combining like terms. We've got to get reassessed on that.